Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast of Thriving, a podcast about what I'm doing to thrive in my life and what I think might help you all to thrive as well. So, today I'm going to go on a bit of a rant about a statement that I've heard many people say. It's very common, but specifically had someone tell me this the other day. Knowing that I do breath work, this person said when I was being vulnerable and sharing something that was really difficult in my life, and I probably went on a bit of a rant at that time as well, but this person said, just breathe. Just remember, just breathe. And like, not in a helpful way of like, hey, you're talking really fast, let's slow down and breathe together. It felt more sarcastic, or more like, oh, it's just easy, just breathe. And so I wanted to talk about that and see if anybody else has the same feelings about that phrase as I do. But just whenever I hear someone say, just breathe, it just irks me so much. I don't think that it's helpful. And I want to talk about why I think it's not helpful, and then what I think would be helpful instead, what we can replace that with. So why it's not helpful is, number one, it simplifies the problem. Like, it tries to oversimplify. So if someone is being vulnerable with you and talking about something that's stressing them out, you saying, just breathe, or just anything, just this one simple solution to this really complex problem, likely is an oversimplification. So most problems that people have, you can't just say, oh, just breathe, just relax, and it'll solve itself. Like, usually problems are multifaceted, and you're not going to be able to just do kind of one thing to fix it or to even feel better. So that's number one. Also, just breathe. It feels sarcastic to me. It feels a little, maybe because it's overused, but it feels a little like surfacey. Like, yeah, there's not much depth to it. It doesn't feel very helpful. And it makes people feel kind of dumb. Like, oh, like, I get, yeah, like this, not only are you trivializing my problem, but it makes me feel like I'm being dumb by getting so like hyped up about it. And so I feel like it really trivializes people's problems, in addition to oversimplifying. I also think sometimes when people are going through stressful times, and it depends on what the stress really is, breathing may not be the answer, and that may surprise people coming from a breathwork instructor. But I have definitely worked with people who have struggled with panic, for example, and when people are struggling with panic attacks, just breathing is not helpful. Actually, paying attention to their breath is going to oftentimes further the panic, because then they're going to hear their heart racing. They're going to feel like they aren't breathing right. They're going to feel like they can't breathe. Their chest is probably tightened, and they actually probably need to not focus on their breath. So having this be a universal answer, I just don't think is applicable for every single person. Some people that I've worked with, we do not start with breath work. We first get our jitters out by like moving our body or something like that instead, or talking through it. Having a period of silence can help, but some people focusing on the breath will stress them out more, especially if they struggle with something like panic. So I also think it's not specific enough. That's another one of my complaints, is just breathe is like, okay, well, there's a million different ways to breathe. There's energizing practices. There's practices to like get you into a focus state. Maybe that's not what you need. Maybe you need a more calming, nervous system strengthening exercise. So I think being more careful and saying, hey, like, in the midst, this is going now into our solution, instead of just saying breathe, this general advice, I think saying, as someone's talking, maybe let them finish their rant first. If they're really freaking out, maybe stop them gently. My therapist would do this. She would gently stop me and say, like, hey, like, how do you feel about this? Place a hand on your heart. Let's let's pause because you're getting really wrapped up in this topic. So that might be helpful. But generally, as a friend, probably don't want to stop them, probably want to let people finish their talking. And then at the end, maybe I have a few friends that do this that I think this is super helpful, is they lead by example. They don't say anything. They listen to me. And at the end, they maybe close their eyes, put their hand on their heart, and they take a few deep breaths. Say, thank you for sharing. Maybe let's take a few deep breaths together. And they don't offer advice in that moment. They just sit. They take the time to be with their friend, hear them, try to feel what they're feeling. And then maybe after that, maybe ask, hey, do you want some advice? Like, there are a few things that come to mind. If not, it's, obviously it's perfectly fine for them to say no. But if you don't have advice, I wouldn't feel obligated to say anything every single time. You can always say, thank you for sharing. That sounds really hard, and just leave it at that. You don't have to have advice for people in every single situation. So those are a few thoughts I have about just breathe. Again, it feels so sarcastic. It feels so condescending to me. And I'm sorry if people mean well when they say that to me, but it just rubs me the wrong way. So I'm curious what everybody else thinks. I think generally steer away from that unless you really know the person and you think that would actually help them. But try to say it, if you're going to use that, say it in a kind tone and maybe truly mean it. Don't just say it as a dismissive, just breathe, like, stop talking. Like, oh, your problem's so small, I don't want to hear about it. Those are my thoughts. Curious, again, what you think, so let me know. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening to my rant.